Hey, what's going on, y'all? Happy Friday. We tapping in, doing some fact versus fiction, and then we're going to see how long this live is going to last. And we just pin this to the comments real quick. Hopefully, everyone's having an amazing Friday. Something is definitely biting me right now. All right, all right, all right. Okay, cool. Shout out to all the dads this weekend. You all do not get celebrated enough for those that are doing their thing. So definitely happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Shout out to y'all. Let me make sure y'all can hear me on the mic. Today, we're going to do some fact or fiction based on a lot of the taglines and the headlines and the hooks that we see on social media. And that's all they are. They're just taglines and hooks. They sound sexy. They know this is what the people want to hear. So they're going to give you bits and pieces to get you excited about what they have to offer without telling you all the details, because there's always more to the story, always more than what meets the eye in this world of funding, especially now in this climate. Um, they always even make it seem like it's guaranteed, and really nothing is guaranteed. So there are some amazing headlines out there that really grab people's attention. And let's talk about some of these and some of the misnomers. And this can be information. Actually, you know what? Some information is coming from headlines that you see. Some of the information may even come from bankers that you may speak to, right? If you just walk into the bank and you just ask different kinds of questions. So the first one that you may hear is that you cannot get business funding without a properly formed business. I gotta tell you, that is actually false. You can absolutely get business funding without a properly formed business. We call that being a sole proprietor. Not only can you get business funding as a sole proprietor, you can open up a business bank account as a sole proprietor. You can get your own EIN number as a sole proprietor. I actually just worked with a client, and we got them. They wanted 50,000. We got them 33,000 as a sole proprietor. 33,000, no interest, right? As a sole proprietor. Now, the other part of that is I told her, hey, a sole proprietorship will limit the amount of funding that you get. Now, when I say limit the amount of funding, can you get six figures of funding as a sole proprietor? Yes. But can you get millions of dollars? What's going on, everybody? Thanks for checking in. Can you get millions of dollars as a sole proprietor? No. No, you can't. So it limits you in that way. But it is possible to get 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 in business credit as a sole proprietor. But you have to be specific on where you go, because not every bank lends to sole proprietors, especially in this climate, is that much more difficult. Something else that's important to understand when it comes to getting funding without having a properly formed business is that means everything is reliant on you as the individual. That means your personal credit needs to be pristine if you're going for any type of business funding without having a properly formed LLC, S Corp, or C Corp. It's very important. Another headline I see a lot, and you all let me know if you've seen these before, is that, yeah, uh, something else that, Shad, what do you hate? What do you hate? Another headline that you probably seen and come across, and then you ran into the bank and you probably were disappointed. I see this a lot. Banks must offer no doc loans to small businesses. Now, the key word here is must, as in they are federally required to do so. Unfortunately, that's not true. Is not true. Now, every bank may have their version of something of a no doc or low doc loan, but they're not required to do no doc loans. Something else to keep in mind is that it may also be depending on how you interpret the word loan. Now, hear me out. When I apply for credit cards at credit unions, some of the credit unions refer to their credit card applications and their credit card products as loans. And a lot of these credit cards typically are no doc. So if you're looking at it that way, is that okay? Well, if they consider the credit card a no doc loan, then maybe. But even still, there's no requirement there's no federal regulation that say a bank must offer a no doc program. In fact, banks can ask for documents at any time during the process. They can ask for it at the time you submit the application. They can ask for documents once after you submit the application and it goes into underwriting. They can even ask for it. They can even ask for it after you've already been approved. We see this a lot with different credit card companies. Discover does it. American Express is notorious for asking for your tax returns after they've already approved you and after you've already had the credit card. Sometimes you can have the credit card, multiple years, and as soon as you do something that looks fishy to them, they'll just pop out on you and say, hey, we need to verify your income. So the idea that it's required is not true. It makes for a really good headline, though. It makes for an amazing headline, but it's absolutely not true. And to be honest with you, having documents to support your applications, and what's going on, everybody, let me know where you guys are tapping in from. Having documentation to support your application can get you more money. The more paperwork you have that make you look good to the bank or to the lender, and that can tell a story, the better you will be. For example, with sole props, that limits how much money you can get because it limits the amount of banks that do business with sole props. Once you become an LLC, that will expand your reach. I'll give you some examples. You can go to a big bank. By big bank, we're talking Citi, Wells Fargo, Capital One, American Express, Chase, Bank of America, US Bank. All of those offer business credit to sole props. And then you may go to a regional bank like Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank does not lend on the business side to a sole prop. If you're a sole prop and you apply for a Citizens business product, you're going to get denied. That's just it. They're going to push you onto the personal side. Same thing if you're an LLC and you have good credit, but let's say you don't have tax returns yet, or you don't have 3 or 6 months worth of bank statements. That can limit the amount of funding that you get access to. Or if you're approved, it may limit the credit. It may limit your access to the credit. Like you'll get a smaller credit line. For instance, there are banks that will offer, let's say, a no doc loan or a no doc business line of credit up to 25,000 or even 50,000 with no docs. But if you had docs, right, you had tax returns, you had bank statements, you had profit and loss sheets, that $50,000 cap or even $100,000 cap could double or triple. You could access 200,000, 250,000, $500,000 in the form of business lines of credit and loans because you have the documentation to support that and to show it. Docs are great for getting credit limit increases and just showing the bank that you're really about your business, right? Literally. And you're not some fly by night guy or girl who just wants to show up, get the bag, and run off. The next one, I know y'all seen this. This is a great one. I love it. And it kind of goes back to the whole no doc and what I was just talking about. You've probably seen this. It says that you can be you can have a 550 credit score, a LLC, and an EIN, and you can walk into a bank. They didn't specify what bank, just a bank, and get access to $50,000 in business funding. Sorry to say, but that's not true. It's definitely not true now, and it wasn't true when they posted it. They just did it for the likes. They did it for the clicks. They did it so that you can buy their ebook or their course or whatever. Because no one would actually go into detail about how that would actually work. Here's the truth of the matter. Now, can you go into a bank with a 550, a LLC, and an EIN and get some kind of funding? Maybe, but not a big bank. It would typically be, they have actually, because I work with special lenders, alternative lenders who help businesses that may not have a strong, where the owner may not have a strong credit report, right? They have some blemishes. It may be a weak credit profile, but they do have an LLC. They do have an EIN. Here's the other things that those reels aren't telling you. They also have bank statements. The EIN has been around for longer than a year. We're not talking about a brand new LLC. We're talking about an LLC that can produce at least 3 to 6 months of bank statements that can show tax returns. EIN and LLC that can show stability and growth on their P&L sheets, right? So, Tony, what's good, my brother? What's good? Happy Friday to you. Happy Father's Day to you if you're a dad. So the thing is, can you get funding as a business with bad credit, a 550 under a 600? Absolutely, it is possible. Caveat: your business needs to have some age on it. It needs to be at least a year old. Your business needs to be showing revenue, going through a business bank account. When I say showing revenue, and we're talking about if you have a weak credit score, you want to show at least, I would say, show them you're doing 10,000. Okay. The other thing when it comes to funding, now, if you have bad credit, and let's say you also don't have revenue, and you also do not have the age, like we just spoke about, then you want to look at alternative ways of getting funding. That would really be fundraising. That would be going out and looking for private investors, angel investors, right? Even if you are in real estate investing, having private investors is a godsend. You're still able to leverage other people's money, even though you may not be able to access it from a bank. I've done private investing with some friends that do fix and flips. right? Because when you're in that realm, especially when it comes to like real estate, you want to be able to do the deals fast, and you don't want the banks all in your business. You don't want to have to produce all these records and paperwork and all that, because time is of the essence for you to get to a closing so you can get the deal done. So for that reason, I understand they are looking for private investors, person to person lending, right? Another, speaking of that, you can do P2P loans. P2P is person to person. That is considered a way to get funding. Of course, you have grants. Grants, now I don't do grants. I specialize in traditional funding and alternative funding as well. So, traditional funding, of course, are business lines of credit, credit cards, business loans, SBA loans. You're going through a bank, you're going through a credit union, working with banking relationship managers so we can get you the maximum amount. Because, and you may be wondering, well, why would you need somebody to help you just apply at a bank that you already have a relationship with? Great question. I used to think that too. Here's the thing: people don't know how to apply for credit. They fill out the application incorrectly. They don't know that when you're filling out an application, you can put your projected income, meaning that if you have a brand new business or if you're a sole prop and you don't have any revenue yet, but you plan on having revenue and you plan on making $80,000 in your first year selling hair bundles or something, you can put that. I feel like the way the ladies are selling bundles and only making 80 grand seems a little too low. They, I mean, women be spending a grip on their hair. That's a sidebar, but anyway, sidebar, don't mind me. You can put on there that you are projecting that you're going to make $80,000. You're projecting that your business is going to do six figures in its first year. There's nothing wrong with doing that. People don't know that you can put that. I appreciate it, Tony. Yeah, definitely hit the like button, share this out with other people. And definitely, Tony, I appreciate it. They don't know that they can put that projected income. They don't know that even on a regular credit card, on the personal side, they can do combined household income. What is that? Instead of when you apply for a credit card and you make 95,000 and you're like, oh, I just put 95,000. They're going to use that to calibrate your credit limit. So instead, you can put the total household income. So if you make 95, the wife makes 85. Let me use round numbers. So I'm going to get myself confused with these fives, right? You make 90,000, your wife makes 90,000. You're at 180. And then you have an adult child, maybe they're in college and they just work part-time or whatever they feel like. And they do they bring home like 40,000 a year, right? As a household, we're now looking at what? 180, what, 220, right? We're looking at 220 total household income. You're going to get a much higher credit limit when you put down that your total household income is 220,000 as opposed to just 90,000. Because now they're like, oh, 220, yeah, he can definitely handle a $15,000 credit card. I mean, why not? He makes 220. Of course he can handle it. Or his household brings in 220. Of course they can handle a $15,000 credit card. Right? So it's all about how to fill out the applications and even when to apply. That's another important thing when you're thinking about, well, why would you want to work with someone to help you put a strategy together? Because you can do it wrong. It's quite possible that you do it wrong. Maybe you end up applying for all these different banks. And let's say you apply for Chase, you apply for American Express, and you apply for Wells Fargo. on because you didn't know that they all pull from Experian. Now, when you go and apply for, who else pulls from Experian? So many. Let's say you apply at not Truist, Citizens, because now Citizens switched up. They're now pulling from Experian sometimes. Let's say you apply Experian, you get denied because you already applied for 3 other banks that all pull Experian. So now when Citizens pulls your credit report, they're like, "Oh, you already went around the block already." Like, nah, you denied. You already went to 3 banks in a week. No, absolutely not. Get out of here. Whereas if you were able to set it up so that you would go to 3 banks that pull Experian, 3 banks that pull Equifax, and then 3 banks that pull TransUnion, that looks a lot better. Because when those 3 banks, they're not talking to each other, right? The other thing is, you may, even if you know how to do that, maybe you don't know how to remove the inquiries so that you can rinse and repeat and do it all again. All of this is part of having a funding strategy and working with somebody that can help you through putting a funding sequence together. Whether they do it for you or they coach you through it is very important, right? The other thing, even with that, going through banks, having someone that can coach you through and understands the differences between the different banks, and also traditional and non-traditional lending. Non-traditional lending is where, going back to one of these headlines, you have a 550, you have an LLC, you have an EIN. And lastly, this actually takes me into my next fact of fiction. It's impossible to get funding with bad credit. It's impossible. You can't do it. Your credit has to be pristine, A1, grade A, perfect to get funding. That's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. You do not need perfect credit to get funding. Now, here's the caveat. You will need something. You'll definitely need other things, but absolutely perfect credit, 800, 810, you don't need that. Even if we're just talking about credit scores, a person with a 750, even a 720, can get approved for the same things that a person with an 800 credit score can. After 750, you're really just like negotiating the interest rate. That's really what your credit score is for after that, because you're already going to get approved, assuming you don't have like super old bankruptcy or something on there, right? But at 750, you're pretty much going to get approved, and at that point, it's just about the interest rate. There's not too many things that I could get with a 725, or there's not too many things I couldn't get with a 725 that a person with an 825 also could not get, or could get that I couldn't get, right? Over 800 is really for show. It makes you feel good. It really did. When I had an 815, I was like, all right, now what? I don't have a top 3. I have 10 bank accounts. I have 10 bank accounts. So when it comes to Bethany, when it comes to top, for me, it's always personal. Like, I like Chase. I love Chase because they're convenient in my area. But some people hate Chase because they have monthly fees. They are a really big bank, so they're not necessarily catering to small business. Even though I am a small business, right? But I know that they don't necessarily cater to me. But some things I like about them, of course, is their credit card ecosystem. They have one of the best, period. You can't deny that. I also like the convenience. I mean, their app is amazing. It be like that sometimes, bro. I mean, they have a second chance. They have a second chance banking account. But Bethany, top 3 is so personalized. And it depends if you like fees or not. Like, who has the least amount of fees based on where you bank? Also, like Bank of America, because they have their preferred rewards program for small businesses. Um, and for me, convenience, the app, what type of app they have, how easy is it to apply. Also, like some online banks like H, I always say it wrong, AXOS, because they don't have fees. Novo Bank is cool because they don't have fees, and then after 6 months, you can get they'll offer you a cash advance at like a 3% rate. So those are some banks that I like, but it's really going to be based on you, your business, and how your business operates. Some businesses are better for online businesses. Some businesses are better for cash heavy businesses because, banks charge you to deposit cash, which is the most ridiculous thing. Like, they charge you deposit cash, they charge you a monthly fee. Like, what the fuck you charging me for, dog? Like, come on. I hate that. You're going to charge me to give you my money. That's dumb. And they don't, a lot of the big banks don't even give you interest on your money. So any business bank account that gives you interest on your money, I'm all for it. Novo and Exos, AXOS, however you pronounce that, I don't know. But the last thing, it's impossible to get funding with bad credit. It is not impossible. More difficult, yes. Takes more creativity, absolutely. But impossible, no. You can get funding with bad credit. In fact, there are government programs, right, that are designed specifically to help small businesses get access to capital, because small businesses really are the lifeblood of the country. Most of the credit unions, the credit unions, the regional banks, right, even those small local banks, they're there literally to support small business. When they say we're here for the community, they are talking about the businesses in that community. So when you go to your local strip mall, or you go to those beautiful little quaint towns with the mom and pop shops, those banks are there to support those businesses. And we know that not all of them have great credit. We know that. It's like not everybody has great credit just because you got a business. Especially if it's a new business, you probably destroyed your credit in the process of building the business. Especially if you didn't go the corporation route, you didn't graduate from Stanford, you didn't come from an Ivy League, you didn't inherit a business. So at some point in time, you probably screwed up your credit. That's just what it is. It's unfortunately it's part of the process. I thought I could avoid it, didn't. I did not avoid it. Totally destroyed my credit in the process of building, because getting great credit is one thing, learning business is another. You're going to get scammed, you're going to lose thousands of dollars, you're going to get a credit card shut down, all types of stuff is going to happen to you. It's just what is part of it, because you didn't know what you don't know, right? But it's not impossible to get funds. There's a lot of ways to get funding as a small business. Here are some. You have grants, right? We know you can apply for grants. You have community development financial institutions. These are smaller regional banks, like I was just talking about, whose sole purpose is to build up and maintain the local economy by offering loans to small business owners and new entrepreneurs. Every state has multiple CDFIs. Every state. They'll even, if your credit is crappy, they'll even help you get your credit together so that you can launch a business. They may have a fee, it may be free. But if you're looking for that additional coaching, hand holding, especially in the finance world or the banking side of things, without having to pay a coach like myself, then yeah, CDFIs are great. They're all over. I work with them. I refer, if a person is in that type of situation, I will definitely refer them to a CDFI, because at the end of the day, I want to help small businesses. My goal is to help 100 small business owners get access to $100,000. If that means directing you to another resource that's going to help you get there, and then you come back to me because I helped you, fantastic. At the end of the day, the point is to see you win. That's the whole point. Of course, we have government loan programs. We seen that through the pandemic, the PPP loan. We saw the EIDL. We had even more recently is the SSBCI, which is the State Small Business Credit Initiative. You should always focus on your personal credit, 100%. Well, yeah, you should always focus on your personal because you're going to need your personal credit at some point. If you want money, the way out is this: if you want money from a bank, work on your personal credit because every bank is going to check your personal credit until your business is at like $2 million. It's $2 million. It's 5 years old, and it already has its own business credit completely built out. I'm talking about 20 different trade lines on that thing. Until then, get your business credit because that's how you're going to be able to fund your business in the beginning. You may have missed it, Tony, but I spoke about being a sole proprietor and getting access to business funding as a sole proprietor. Now, going back to it being impossible to get funding with bad credit, I mentioned a couple of others, right? We also have alternative lenders. There are lenders, like I work with an alternative lender that offers things like MCAs. That's a merchant cash advance. Now, do I like MCAs? But I'd be like, oh, everyone should get one? No, because they are very, very, very high interest rates and their repayment terms can be debilitating. But if you're in a situation where you need that cash flow or that infusion of cash right now so that you can move forward in your business, an MCA serves a purpose. Every kind of lending product or debt weapon, as some people use that term, serves a particular purpose. An MCA isn't the best, but if you have bad credit, that's what happens, right? So is it impossible? No, you can absolutely get funding with bad credit. Will you have the best terms? No. Will you have the best interest rates? Also, no. There's always going to be a give and take. Will you be able to get no doc funding with bad credit? No. They're going to want to see funding. They're going to want to see some tax statements. They're going to want to see some bank statements. They're going to want to see some P&L. They're going to want to verify your income in all kinds of ways, right? They may even ask for collateral, meaning you may have to put up your house or the company car or your personal car or equipment or the real estate that if you own the real estate that your business operates out of, you may have to put up the real estate as collateral so that the lender can be comfortable giving you the money. All of that is possible or an option if you're attempting to get funding with less than perfect credit. So those are some of the facts and fiction of it all. Can you get funding with bad credit? Absolutely. Can you get funding without having an LLC? Can you get business funding without having an LLC? 100% you can do that. Can you obtain funding with just a 550 credit score, an LLC, and an EIN? Maybe. But it's definitely not what the internet wants you to think. It's not you just walk in with bad credit and be like, hey, I made an LLC yesterday, give me 50,000. It's not gonna happen that way, right? I appreciate you, Tony. Good looking out. And also, last thing, do banks have to give out no doc loans? No, they are not required, but a lot of banks do give out no doc loans. They just give them in the form of a credit card. Most business credit cards do not require anything more than the application. You can fill out the application, you have a 700 plus, I would even push it to a 720 credit score, you're good. Something else that I've noticed recently, now that's everything that's and fiction. The speed in which you get the money. There's, for some reason, a lot of people are obsessed with how fast they can get access to the capital. Recently, a lot of the banks have slowed down their approval process. Of course, because of fraud and everything we've seen throughout the the pandemic, people are defaulting more often. People are using, a lot of different methods to get access to the capital, shelf corps, shell corps, all types of things, right? So now the banks are doing that much more in their underwriting process to verify that your business is legit, that you as a person are legit, meaning that someone else didn't steal your identity, make up, someone didn't steal your identity, buy a shelf corp, and then they're now trying to get funding with your personal credit, right? Through a shelf corp. So this has slowed things down. I've seen American Express take an extra 2 to 3 days to approve somebody that was already a customer. Like normally with American Express, if you're a customer, you all you got to do really is just press the button. You press the button, boom, another card, boom, another card, boom, another card. But recently they slowed that down. Now some people are waiting 2 3 days. I've seen some people take 7 days if their credit was a little less than absolutely perfect to get a response back from American Express. The same thing with Chase. I've seen that they've slowed down. They definitely are double verifying. And U.S. Bank, U.S. Bank is really diving deep from some recent apps. And these are with my clients who have good credit. I mean, one client had a 805, another client had a 775, and they still were not instantly approved. One client who had an 805, she was actually denied the U.S. business credit card because it turned out one of her businesses wasn't fully structured properly. So she's had somebody, and this is how I'm telling you guys this because this is how deep it is right now. This is how deep it is. Work on your spending habits first. The easiest thing to do, definitely grab the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Put 10% of everything you make away. Put it into an account you can't get access to. That will instantly reduce your spending by 10%. So going back to the U.S. bank situation, right? And this is with an 800 credit score. The company's been around for 2 years. She put somebody on the application. We put somebody down as a managing member. But it turns out this person was not actually a managing member once we got into deeper, once we got into the weeds of how she had her paperwork set up, right? Because she put that this person was a managing member, but they were not a managing member, and US Bank couldn't verify them as the managing member, they just denied the entire application. We called the reconsideration line and everything. They were just like, nope, we don't like it. We don't like it. You did it wrong. Cancel. But that's how deep it is right now when we're talking about going for business funding. Everything needs to be in alignment. If you fill out the app incorrectly, you're going to get denied. So wipe the inquiry, wait 30 days, apply again. Right. What was that, Andrew? What's going on, Andrew? I'll get money to do a startup location. Grant. If your credit is awful, go for grants. So going back to that, right? You got bad credit, go for grants. You said a startup location. Yeah, grants, fundraising, private investors. The banks right now, they're not going to do too much. There are special government programs that you can work with a CDFI in your area. CDFIs can help you get back into position so that you look lendable to the banks, and they also offer their own loans as well. And you can also look up the SSBCI. That's been a nationwide initiative where they're offering funds to different organizations to help folks get access to capital. Credit score as low as a 550. But keep this in mind with anything I recommend. Anything I recommend for what? Keep in mind with the SSBCI, with the low credit score, they're going to want to see everything else. They're going to want to see that business plan. They want to see that operating agreement. They may want to see your bank accounts. They may want to see your personal bank account. They may want to see your personal credit score. They may want to see your all grants. It's free money, all of them, every single one. Pick one. They don't just hop on Google. Grants. I need grants. Grant.gov. Hello Alice. Hello Skip. Um, any corporation, most major corporations offer grants because they use it as a tax write-off. So any grant, I just hop on Google and just be like, I need grants. That's it. It's not, yeah. Grants aren't really like, grants are so custom that they like, grants will go all the way down to the demographic. They have grants just for certain spiritual denominations, just for religion, just for sexes, just for different races. They have grants for the exact town that you live in. They have, your job probably has grant opportunities, right? So you never want to limit yourself. Apply for all of it because grants are competition based. Grants are competition based. So read their requirements, fill out the app, submit that joint. You know, I don't personally specialize in grants though, but I know if you have bad credit and you're looking for capital, grants are great. Private investors are great. That means, talking to individuals and asking them to invest in your business. Also doing fundraisers um for your location, right? 30 days. Typically 30 days, but every grant is going to be different. You want to read the rules and regulations of that grant. Gotta read the rules and regulations of that grant and call the entity giving the grant. Because I can say anything, but I'm not the person giving out the grant. So I can say it could take 30 days, and you call them, and they're going to say, oh, well, actually, it's a 45-day turnaround time before we release the money. So some things, y'all, especially with grants, that's one of them things you gotta dig deep for those. That's why I don't do grants for people. I can tell you about it. I actually have someone that I can refer you to that does grants. Her name is Shelby. She does grants, right? Superior Shelby. She does grants. Check out her page. That's all she does. Right. My focus is bank funding and alternative lending because they're actually a lot easier. You meet the requirements, they give you the money. That's it. You meet the requirements, they give you the money. If you want to, now for everyone watching this, definitely I pinned my website. Definitely check that out. Click the pre-qualification button. You could pre-qualify. We can have a 30-minute conversation. You could tell me more about your situation, and we can talk about what type of funding opportunities may be available to you. If you have, so for instance, I had a client who her business is 3 years old. She had weak credit. But she had good cash flow. Her business was cash flowing about anywhere between $20,000 to $60,000 a month, but she still just had bad credit. So she was only able to qualify basically for MCAs. But we were in the midst of that, we were still able to get her access to $43,000 in approvals, even with a less than perfect credit score. On another client I have, has less than perfect credit. We're actually working with him to improve his credit right now, right? And I work with a lot of truckers as well. A lot of truckers have less than perfect credit, but it's high cash flow. Because of that reason, where I'm able to offer some truckers, funding opportunities as much as 50,000, and some it's 60,000. I've had some of my trucker clients offer that money while also the other half of my team works on their personal credit, right? So there's always an opportunity. Everyone can get access to funding with the right strategy. And it's never going to be a one size fits all. Everyone's business is different. Everyone, awesome. Everyone business is different. Cool, Bethany. I look forward to it. Just once you go to crackthescore.com, you're going to click the yellow button that says pre-qualify. Make sure you fill out the full and complete questionnaire, and then someone will reach out to you. Andrew, you can actually do the same. If you're looking to be a client for funding, go ahead, just go to crackthescore.com. Is this a clickable? Hold on, let me make sure I give y'all a clickable link. Let me, hold on. Just in case that one's not clickable. Let me drop that on you real quick. There we go. And I am going to pin this one. All right. Boom. All right. So you should be able to, now you can click the link that I have pinned in the comments. Now that's my business funding website. Once we hop on the call, we can talk a little bit more about your exact situation and we can determine what's going to be the best route for you. If you have, low cash flow and you need credit repair, that's a different conversation. If you have high cash flow and weaker, less than perfect credit, that's cool. That's still a conversation that we need to have. So at least that way you know what direction you need to go for. Something else when it comes to funding, everybody, I want y'all to understand this. It's never either or. It's never either or. Never. It's choose the best options for you and your opportunity. So, for instance, I have 10 bank accounts. I have 20 credit cards. So when people ask me, well, what's the best credit card? What's the best bank account? I'm like the ones that fit my needs. And that's how you want to approach this. It's the funding opportunities that fit your needs. The needs of a restaurant owner, totally different than the needs of a truck driver, which are totally different than someone that does online marketing, which is totally different than someone who may own a sales agency, right? Every single business is going to have different needs. So your funding sequence, your funding strategy should be customized to you. One of the biggest things and one of the biggest roadblocks is that I had clients who saw banks on the internet. They went out, they're like, oh, I got, they had good credit. They had 715, 720. They got some funding. But because they didn't have the right strategy, they hit a ceiling. And now they don't know which way to go. They don't know how to pivot. They don't know how to go about getting even more funding. Even when their first round was great, they got $100,000. They got $250,000 in that first round of funding. They want to do it again, but they have absolutely no idea how. They don't know where to go. They don't know what bank is going to work with them. And the banks are constantly changing. They're constantly changing their rules. They're constantly changing their strategy. They're constantly changing what they will and will not allow. So, for instance, people would always say, oh, Truist, get Truist. Truist does foreign entity filings. Just file some paperwork where a Truist is located, and they'll work with you, no problem. Well, Truist changed that. They no longer accept foreign entities. They're not doing it right now. Now, will that change later? Sure. They can always change it at any given time. But right now, they're not rocking with it. Just like they used to have no doc business lines of credit. Going back to that original fact of fiction. Do they have to offer no doc business lines of credit? Absolutely not. They do not have to. They do not have to offer a no doc business line of credit. They don't have to do it. They can do it if they want. Just like Chase, which is known for wanting every damn thing. I mean, they hard pull you for everything. They want all the docs in the world. During this year, they came out with a no doc loan program that went all the way up to Navy. They're gonna pull you for everything. Period. They're gonna pull you for everything. It don't matter what you want. They're gonna pull you for it all the time, every time. Ain't no way around it. With Chase, they went the opposite direction because they're the largest bank in the country. They hold like $8 trillion. Like, they have too much money to fail. They went in the opposite direction. They released a no doc program going all the way up to $250,000, right? But let's be honest. If you want $250,000 in no docs, everything needs to be strong. Everything needs to be strong. You need to have a relationship with them. They need to see that cash flow coming through. That cash flow, you better be showing a couple of M's going through your bank account. You're not walking in there making $50,000 a year talking about, let me get a $250,000 no doc loan. It's not, no. Like, no. Speaking of that, when you're thinking about how much money can you get from a bank, generally speaking, banks will give you 10 to 30% of your annual gross revenue. So if your business is doing $100,000, you can show that to the bank that you're doing about $100,000. They're going to give you about somewhere between 10 to 30,000. That's typically how that works. And that's where having a strategy together so that you know what you need to do so that you can get the highest limits possible from each and every bank based on your exact credit profile, your business, and your banking relationships. Even right now, everyone can max out how much they're going to get from a bank without me. Set up your LLC, get your EIN, get a 700 plus credit score, open up the business bank account, deposit as much money as you can into that bank account, set up a merchant account with the bank. Jamal, what is a merchant account? A merchant account is how basically allows you to accept credit card payments. So, it's like your Stripe, PayPal, 5-Star Processing, Authorize.net, QuickBooks. All of those are payment processors, aka merchant accounts. But banks also offer their own merchant processing. Okay, set one up with them. That makes it even easier for them to verify your income because now they don't really have to ask you for P&Ls. They don't really have to ask you for tax returns. They can see the money coming through your merchant account. They're like, oh snap! They swiping like 15K a month. They getting 15K a month coming through this thing in swipes. Oh wow! Hold on, we need to reach out to them. They getting real business. They having real deposits coming through. Hey, get them on the phone. Offer them something. What they need? They need a car. They want a line of credit. They want a loan. They need some refinancing. Offer them something because they got the merchant account with us. They got the checking account with us. They got the savings account with us. Oh yeah, we need to get them on the phone. We need to build a relationship with these people. That's what the banks want. You can do that without me. You don't need me to do that. I just told you exactly what to do. You want maximum funding? That's exactly what you do. And do that at 3 banks every quarter. That's how you're gonna. I mean, that's it. That's it. That's the cheat code. Now, it's for those of us who don't have that set up, right? You may not be doing 15,000 a month through one bank or through a merchant account. What other opportunities do we have? You're a startup. You don't have any revenue. What other opportunities do you have? You're a business owner and you are making 6 figures, 7 figures a year, but things have been a little hard this year. So you have some recent late payments. You have a recent charge off with a major bank like Bank of America, or a late payment with American Express. What can you do? That's where speaking with someone, that's where having a consultation, building out a strategy comes into play. Because life is sweet when you got everything together. You got your business is 5 years old, you're making 1.5 million. There there are no shortcomings in the cash flow. You have a 750 plus. Of course you're going to get approved for everything. Of course you're going to get approved for 300, 400, $500,000. Of course. But you still may not know the strategy to maximize it. And I said my last couple of clients, they had 800s. I don't know, my brother. I never started a clothing line. This is actually all I do. All I do is help business owners get access to capital. My goal is to help 100 business owners get access to $100,000. So if you're looking for capital to start a clothing line, you should click the link and holler at me. We can see what can be done to get you at least your first 10, 50, $100,000 so that you can have the capital backing to launch that clothing brand. That is interesting. You know what? It may not be that hard because I made this shirt. This is my shirt. I made it. I designed it. And I just went to a website that does print on demand t-shirts. So I made the design, went to print on demand. I sold some. I wouldn't call it a t-shirt line. I mean, I made it. People were like, oh, do you have more of those? And I was like, yeah, I do. Went to a print on demand website. Boom. Sold a couple of them. Didn't make I'm not a millionaire from t-shirts but yeah, it's not. I mean, if you want to be like support black colleges, yeah, that's going to be hard. I'm not really sure what you're looking for as far as Navy. That Yeah, I'm not sure what information particular that you're looking for with Navy. Um, so it's all about the strategy, right? It's all about the strategy, and it's always going to be specific to your situation. If you have equipment, I haven't talked about anyone that need equipment, but if you're looking for equipment loans, right? Either you already have equipment and you want to use that equipment as collateral to get more money, that is an option. When you have collateral, you can get access to capital with weak credit. So if you have less than perfect credit, but you have a vehicle, you have equipment, you have a home, right? You can leverage that to get access to more capital. If you have a retirement account, you can use your retirement account to get access to more capital, even with bad credit. Right. So these are some of the things that people don't really talk about because these are the more in-depth things that is hard to explain all of this in a live or even just in a 30-second reel, right? They're only going to give you the tip of the iceberg. Some of these processes take weeks. It may take 30 days to get some of this type of funding, especially even when you have like less than perfect credit. It takes even longer to get an approval when you have less than perfect credit. because there's even more verification that goes into it. They're looking at the P&Ls. They're double, triple checking that you have the capability to pay them back, right? All of these things play a part. So just keep in mind, you may not get the funding right away, and it's fine. If there are some, if there's time frames, because that's one of the questions when those of you that click the link and went to the website and book your pre-qualification call, these are just some of the questions. What's your credit score? What type of funding are you looking for? How fast do you need this funding? How much? What is it going to be used for? Right? These are all the same questions that a lender are going to ask you. So it's good to know what you're going to need it for. I get it. Some people are just like, man, I just got caught up in the hype of the internet. I just want some capital just to have it. Like, that's cool, but you're going to be paying interest on a loan for no reason. Like, that's a waste. That's a waste of time. Or you want zero interest credit. Well, for what? If you don't have anything to use it for, then you just got a bunch of cards that you can't leverage and do anything with. So you just got credit cards just for the sake of getting credit cards. There's no point in doing that. So you always want to have a reason for going for that funding. You even want to have a place that you're going to put it. Are you going to use this funding to build up relationships with other banks, doing pledge loans at different banks, doing quick loans at different banks? Are you going to be using it for a fix and flip? Are you going to low key loan the money out to other people and they pay you back? Like, what's your objective? All of these things play a part in your funding strategy, right? So wow, it's been an hour. That's pretty dope. What's going on, everybody? Happy Father's Day for everyone checking in. St. Louis, that's what's up. I'm glad that you are enjoying Navy. Navy is a great bank. I'm not in Navy, but I know a lot of people that are in it. They love it. They give you high limits. You can get up to $80,000 on the personal side in unsecured loans. Well, unsecured credit. So that's great. And they have a lot of opportunities. They just hard pull you for every damn thing. I don't like that. They hard pull you for everything, right? Something else when we're talking about building out your strategies, right? Looking at these internet banks and the banks you see a lot of people talk about, they're wonderful banks. Don't be afraid to do your own research and your own due diligence. There are tons of local banks in your area that you can take full advantage of if you took the time to reach out to them and give them a call. So for instance, I do this all the time. I'm in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area, so I'm always just casually looking up banks in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And I found one that seemed like a good gem. It did its own underwriting, right? It did its own underwriting, and it did underwriting for other banks, meaning that they're the people who will preview the application for another bank, right? They do the underwriting. So I'm like, oh, sweet, nice. It's a nice bank. Their business credit cards and their personal credit cards have 12 months no interest or 18 months no interest. Sweet. They do business lines of credit. They do commercial real estate. They do a lot. I'm like, oh, I need to get into this bank. Now, this bank is called Blue Ridge Bank. It's a highly localized bank, very localized. They are only in 2 states, Virginia and North Carolina. That is it. That's it. That's all, right? Now, you're not going to hear a lot about this particular bank, especially on the internet, because they're only in 2 states. Here's the cool thing, though. Even though they have a small footprint, they're not geo restricted. So even if you're a business or you don't live in Virginia or North Carolina, or your business isn't located in Virginia, North Carolina, you can still form a partnership with them. You can still open up bank accounts with them. The caveat, though, is some of the documents they want you to show up in person to sign. So I would call this like a semi-geo restricted bank because you have to show up to sign off on some of the documents. When you're opening up a bank account, they want you there, right? And they're also check systems heavy. They're very check systems heavy on the personal and on the business side. So if you have a lot of inquiries on your check systems, or you ran off on a couple of banks recently on your check systems, you may not want to apply for Blue Ridge because they are going to run that check systems. And they also look at Experian. I'm sorry. They check Equifax. They check Equifax. But if your credit is good, your check system is straight, check out Blue Ridge Bank. They're pretty dope. I like them. They're new. I'm looking forward to building with them. All right. That's what I got, everybody. Listen, tap in with me. Click the link that goes directly to my website. All right. You can pre-qualify. We can have a conversation about getting you funded. Also, check the links in my bio. Right. I have links to, if for those who need credit repair, I partner with a company called Infinite Wealth. You can click the link. You can get started with them. It's $150 a month. It's a totally done for you service. You don't do anything but upload your docs. They take care of everything else. If you are a DIY type of person, you want to do your own everything, your own credit repair, your own funding, your own business credit creation. I have a whole set of ebooks in the description. Check those out. I appreciate it, Bethany. Thanks. Check those out. They're only $17. Grab them. Super dumb affordable for anybody that needs that and who likes to have something in written word that you can always reference. These are digital, so you can get them on your phone, your laptop, your tablet, whatever, and you'll have it forever, right? When I have time, I do update them. Okay, that's definitely on my to-do calendar, my to-do list. Retirement accounts, they don't necessarily get access to your credit. Retirement accounts don't get access to your credit. Now, with a retirement account, you can take a loan out against your retirement account. You can definitely do that. You also have something called a ROBS, ROBS, and that's done through like special companies offer that, where you would basically you would take your 401k. So ROB stands for what is it? Roll over business stock. I think the S stands for stock. I gotta remember. I don't offer it, but you gotta be aware of what's out here, right? Because everyone's situation is different. But it's roll over business stock, I think. And basically you would take your 401k, roll it over into a C corp, and then basically you would be using your 401k, roll it over into a C corp, and then purchase stocks using your 401k. Very complicated. It may be a good look for you, but it's a very complicated process. Typically would need a CPA and attorney to set it all up for you. Again, it's not something that I personally offer. I specialize more so on business credit cards, business loans, business lines of credit, SBA, and some alternative lending such as equipment financing. I work with some MCA lenders, and I also work with hard money lenders for those that are real estate investors. But to find out what type of funding is absolute best for you and your situation, you definitely want to check out my website, click the pre-qualification button, fill out the form, and set an appointment with me so we can go through your situation and figure out what pieces of the puzzle we want to put together for you. Because you can absolutely mix and match. We can do traditional and non-traditional financing simultaneously. Oh, no. No, this is infinite wealth is not this hold on. Does infinite banking do anything like banking on yourself or wealth creation banking? Can you clarify that question? Because infinite banking is using your whole life insurance to create your own ecosystem so that you don't have to borrow money from the bank. Instead of borrowing it from the bank, you're able to borrow the money from your whole life insurance and then pay back your whole life insurance. And you create you're using your life insurance, your whole life insurance with cash value. Sorry, your whole life insurance with cash value, not just whole life, because whole life doesn't always come with cash value. So you're using whole life insurance with cash value to build a banking system for yourself. Um, so I'm not sure what if that is the question that you're asking about. Yeah. Can you clarify that, Bethany? All right, y'all. Been on. We made some good time, man. Like I said, happy Father's Day for everybody that's tapping in. Once this finishes, definitely leave a like. Again, leave another like for me. Oh, yeah, the credit repair company is called Infinite Wealth, not Infinite Banking. Infinite Wealth. It's Infinite Wealth Freedom Network. They do credit repair. It's $150 a month. They do everything for you. All you do is upload your documents. You'll have an onboarding phone call, and then after that, they do all the disputing for you. You'll get emails every like 10 days. You get emails every 10 days. So you're always in the loop, and there'll be a specialist assigned to you specifically because I'm all about customer service. I'm big on that. So they have really good customer service as well, right? But yeah, that is Infinite Wealth Network. No, yeah, Infinite Wealth Freedom Network. Uh, yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks everybody for tapping in. I'ma head out. If no one else has any other questions, and say, click the link, check out the website. If you're interested in working with me and getting a funding strategy put together specifically for you, see if you pre-qualify. Let's discuss. Let's work together. And everyone enjoy their weekend. All right. Peace.